how's it going? What I have here is very exciting. This is my brand new Mountain Laurel Designs Burn. It is a 38-liter frameless ultralight pack, and it weighs right now in its current completely stock configuration 17 ounces, including the sternum strap, which is pretty respectable, but I want to see if it could be a little lighter. I think for the volume, probably a good target maybe would be like 14 to 15 ounces. And I think I might be able to get there. There's a number of things on here that I don't really need. So I was just kind of hoping to film my thought process and trimming experience with the 2019 MLD Burn. I'm not really shooting for a target, although I mentioned it, but just kind of trim away the fluff down to what I need and kind of see where that leaves me. So, hope you enjoy. Alright, so first thing I want to do is just kind of walk through some of the features that I think are candidates for being removed. And I will say, you know, part of this is informed by my experience with the MLD Profit for 2 years. So I wouldn't recommend just jumping in and trimming everything away, because you may like some of these features, but a number of these my Profit didn't, and I enjoyed it. So I'll just run through some of those things here. The first thing is this front buckle. I believe the intention is to allow better security of items that are in this front mesh pocket if it's overstuffed, which I think is valid, but if you look, I mean, you can't really stuff a whole ton in there, and even if you do, you know, this is pretty strong elastic, so personally I don't see really any use here, so I am considering cutting this off. The next thing I'll point out is just kind of a general thing. If you look around the pack, you'll notice these, you know, webbing loops with O-rings on them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's 14 of those. Now, you know, the ones on the back, I believe, are for MLD's rain cover attachment, which, okay, if you're going to use it, fine. The ones on the front, at least here down, is intended for the bungee system that you could put on here. I never use that. And then these top ones, I guess, for the bungee too, although I'm going to use these in a different way. So I think I'm going to at least take the little O-rings off of all of those little loops except for these top 4. Alright, the next thing, so this requires, I hope you can see this, the top closure system has this Y-strap that goes to this adjustable clip here, which is similar, at least in principle, to older MLD packs, and I really enjoy that. However, flip this around, they've added this, another buckle right here, and I'm not really sure what that's for. I guess maybe to adjust the length of the Y, but if you have the adjustment of the front strap, I'm not sure if that's necessary. So yeah, I'm thinking about this one. This one's actually giving me a little bit more pause, just trying to think of the best way to do it. I know Ron says that you could cut this off here and here, and then tie this end to the haul loop, and then just have it function as a single strap over the top. I might do that. I've also considered maybe just cutting the buckle off and then sewing or tying this loop here, which would save the weight of the buckle. So thinking about that. The next thing is this side compression system. A lot of people refer to this to the Joker hat. If you look at that, it kind of looks like a Joker's hat. So, but this is MLD's kind of take on the side compression system being integrated into the top closure. However, you know, it's functional, and I had this on my Prophet and left it like that, but I don't know, it seems a little overbuilt, and I recently got a KS ultralight pack, and it doesn't have that. It's just a kind of dry bag style clip, and I prefer that a little bit better. It looks neater, and one thing I did find, you know, on my Prophet with this system is it was kind of annoying sometimes to get things in and out of this pocket because it would kind of catch or rev on this right here. Also, to strap a trekking pole into this system, you'd have to unclip the top, loosen this down, put it in, tighten it back up, which, I don't know, not a big deal, but so I am definitely going to cut this all off and this big old D-ring and that webbing there on both sides. And what's kind of cool is Mountain Laurel predicted this, and they now include a male and a female clip at the top of their roll tops now. So if you want to convert it, you can clip it together, roll it down, and then clip the top, like a lot of ultralight packs on the market. And to modify it, all you need to do is just cut off this female buckle. So I'm going to do that. Some other things I was looking at, there's these elastic loops, which I think is for a 1-inch webbing hip belt if you wanted to cut this off and then add one later. I'm not going to use that, so I'm going to cut that off. Alright, and then, okay, so now before I do anything to the stock pack, I'm going to talk about some things that I wish I could modify. So things that I can't really modify and reduce weight from just because of how they're designed, but you know, would be nice if Mountain Laurel would figure out a way that would be a little bit more modular. So the first thing is on this mesh pocket, they have this needlessly complex tension system here. There's a line lock, and I guess the idea is that you could tighten that down really tight and again keep stuff in here. I don't know if Ron at Mountain Laurel had a bad experience with something falling out of the front mesh pocket on trail, and that's why he's adding these buckles and cinch straps, but I've personally never had any problem. My pack is not upside down at any point when I'm backpacking, so I don't know. The old style front mesh pocket was anchored with just a knot back over here on both sides, and I actually untied that and then just pulled out the elastic, and that saved some weight, and I never really found I needed that. So, but on this version, it's now sewn into the seam of the pack on this side. That's how it's anchored, and it's actually two lengths, or it's one continuous loop of shot cord in here. So you can't really like just cut it and pull it out. It'd just be kind of a mess. I guess you could, but so that's likely going to have to stay that way it is. Same thing on the pockets. I like that the edges of the side pockets can cinch down. I like that. You know, that's a prerequisite for any pack that I order these days. But again, it's anchored back into this seam and uses a full loop of this pretty thick gauge shock cord. And then again, a big honking cord lock. So they could use a much thinner piece of shock cord and then a much thinner cord lock and save some weight, and they wouldn't need this O-ring here. It says more O-rings than car engine, it seems like. So I don't know, just some of those things that I wish were a little bit more modifiable. Other than that though, I mean, we're nitpicking here. I mean, as is, it's 17 ounces, which is phenomenal compared to most packs. So yeah, anyway, I'm not a wizard with video post-production, so I'm gonna do my best here, but I'm gonna go ahead and start taking out the things that are pretty no-brainers, such as kind of these O-rings and a few other things, and maybe I'll take some video and pictures along the way. I expect to only need a lighter and some scissors. I would say make sure that your scissors are sharp, because if it's not a clean cut, the subsequent melting of the webbing is not going to be as clean. The other thing is make sure you don't cut so close to the fabric or seam that you're near that melting it could potentially burn or I guess hurt the quality of that seam. So just kind of play it safe, but also trim. So alright, like I mentioned, this is starting at 17 ounces on the dot. It was hovering between like 16.99 and 17 ounces. So I'm going to trim up a bunch of things and then weigh the scraps and see where that leaves us. Alright, midway through, and I had a hard time getting the second buckle off right here. With scissors, there's just not a whole lot of room. So I had to use some wire cutters and basically just break the buckle like that to get it off. So scissors, lighter, and then maybe a cutting tool or something to break that buckle if you so desire. All right, here she is, all trimmed up. This is everything that I took off, which of webbing and clips and a ton of these little O-rings. So I can get it up close on that here. A bunch of stuff in there. All right. So all told, I was rather surprised about how little weight everything saved. All of this is 0.9 ounces. So it now weighs 16.1 ounces, which with the sternum strap is an improvement. But really the point really is about being simple. It only has what I want now. So I took off this buckle here. I took off all the little O-rings there. And here on the side, I cut off the side compression here. And then up here is where I got a little creative. I decided I wanted something that was at least at this point a little bit replaceable if I didn't like it. So I didn't cut here, but I just cut the buckle off. And then I did a bar tack right here. So that, you know, if I really do want to just go to one strap, I can still cut it off there versus figuring out that, oh, I actually like the Y strap from my Profit. So that's what I did here. Still save weight though, because that stitching is obviously less weight than the buckle that was there. And it's more simple because I won't be undoing that. So now it's just this top strap here and the dry bag closure up here. And yeah, that's it. You know, I think you could go further. Like, you know, you could cut off one, you know, ice axe loop, if you want to do that, but I foresee potentially using one for trekking poles and one for an ice axe, or a shovel in the winter, something like that. So I'm going to leave those on here. I found this loop here. You could cut that off. I'm not really sure what it is yet, so I'm not going to cut it off. I think I may later, but it would only save a little bit. Yeah, if you really wanted to save weight, you could cut off these hip belts. And I will say, I cut off the hip belts on my Prophet. I used it for a year. I never used the hip belt, and so I figured it was fairly safe to cut off. I found out two things. Basically, sometimes when you have a really heavy carry, like a lot of water or a bear can, it's nice to just cinch down the hip belt and take the weight off your shoulders for a little bit. And I found that I did miss that when I had to use a bear can with the Prophet. The other thing too is I found that it really hurt resale value. So keep that in mind if you want to cut that off. But I feel like if you are the type of person that's going to cut it off, you know if you're going to regret it or not. So I'll leave that up to you, but I believe Ron said that saves about like 3 ounces, so that's a really big area of weight savings. I'm going to keep them. It's one of the reasons I got the Burn. I really like the hip belt, and I absolutely love the shoulder straps. There's a little bit of dynamic stretch in them. They're wide, and it's absolutely perfect. So anyway, that's what I trimmed off. Whether it's worth it or not is up to you. I think it's worth it. I really like how it is, and that's it. Final update. When I was packing up, I realized that there were these two little pieces of elastic wrapped around the hip belt straps to keep these from dangling. The dangle doesn't really bother me, but I will say cutting these off brought it up to an even 1 ounce saved, so totally worth it.